Hey guys, back with another video for you today. I've got Anthony here, one of the founding members of Maison Violet, who I've been speaking about. Today, we're going to discuss the brand, some of their fragrances, and how it is to work with master perfumer Nathalie Lorson to create their fragrances. And Maison Violet is also sponsoring 3 sample sets to give away, North America and EU giveaway prizes. So if you want to find out about this house, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Thank you, Anthony, for doing this video with me. I'm so in love with the fragrances that you guys have.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. So let's see. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So I met you last August. You came to San Francisco. And by that time, I had already started speaking about Sketch and Un Air d'Apogée. But we have to rewind to, I think it was 2019. Is that when you first sent me your samples?
It was before COVID for sure. And yeah, I think it was 2019. It was before Essence of 2019.
Okay. And at that time, I was really enjoying the samples that you had sent me. And I don't remember what you sent me, but I took them on that European trip and I was really enjoying wearing them. I think they were like 5 or 10 ml samples, but I don't know what happened. We lost track and then COVID started. And then so fast forward to now, and I'm really impressed with the fragrances, and especially since you work with one of my favorite perfumers, Nathalie Lorson. So let me go all the way to the beginning. How did Maison Violet start? Tell me about that.
So Violet originally was launched by Monsieur Violet, so François-Étienne Violet, who wasn't in the perfume industry. So he was a son of a brandy merchant, and he had this like very small boutique. He was a very smart chemist, we could call him, and very good with creating like new formulas for products, cosmetic products, especially soaps. Violet was very well known for their soaps. And so yeah, his small boutique grew bigger and bigger, and then eventually it went to new people's hands, and new owners were taking care of Violet, and it grew more and more. It grew internationally. It was a supplier of many royal courts, and it became a very big company up until the 1950s, where it unfortunately disappeared.
So it was really big then, like as big as Guerlain or something?
Yeah, it was actually, so Violet was in the late 1800s. It was actually in the French stock market. So it was that big. It had a lot of investors, very wealthy people behind Violet. And it was considered as one of the biggest and most well-known perfumeries from France back in the days. So it was a very big house. And that's also what fascinated us, this whole like history behind. And knowing that being so big, it still disappeared very quickly and for like very mysterious reasons.
Wow. So you're referring to the color violet, not the flower, correct?
So the name Violet was really François Etienne's last name. So it was
his last name.
Yeah, so neither a color nor the flower. And Violet actually had a lot of difficulties with this, especially when they started to expand internationally. Because so on the bottles, it's written, so the spelling is the same as the flower. And so a lot of English-speaking countries thought that they were violet fragrances. And so to prevent this from happening and people thinking that they were only selling violet fragrances, they renamed the fragrances for English-speaking countries. And so they rebranded it Violet, Veolay. So people would notice the difference between the brand and the flower, and also so that people could pronounce it correctly, like the French phonetic way to say it.
Oh, nice. So were you a perfume lover before you started doing this, or is it something that you fell into?
I really fell into fragrance, and it grew on me very quickly. So before studying fragrance, I had no clue what I wanted to do in life. I'm a huge animal lover, and so I thought maybe doing something in that segment. And then one day I randomly came across perfumery with someone that talked to me about the perfume industry, and I thought it could be really interesting to dig in and see what exactly people do in the fragrance industry. And I started just gathering information, and it really got me intrigued. And so I enrolled in a 1-year diploma at Versailles at l'ICIPCA to kind of get a feel of what it would be like to work in the fragrance industry. And I loved that year. I loved learning about fragrances, about smelling the raw materials, memorizing them. It was just something that truly fascinated me. And after that, I enrolled at l'École supérieure du parfum, which is a 5-year school with a master's degree in chemistry and fragrance creation. And that's where I met Paul and Victorien, my 2 associates, and truly fell in love with perfumery, and very happy to have randomly came across perfumery.
Nice. So you went 1 year to ICIPCA, and then you studied for 5 years additional to that?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a long time?
Yeah, because the ICIPCA was so I was supposed to go directly at l'École supérieure du parfum, but not knowing exactly what I was getting into, I thought that if I didn't enjoy the fragrance industry, since it was very new to me, like I never really realized there was a whole industry behind this, and so I was really discovering it, and I thought it would be smarter to do 1 year first in another school, so at l'ICIPCA, to kind of get a feel of what it would be like, and see if I enjoy it. So that's what I did, and since I loved it, I went back to l'École supérieure du parfum for the 5-year diploma.
Okay, nice. Can you spell, or maybe you can send me an email with the name of the other school, because I don't understand it.
Yeah,
sorry.
And I probably said it really fast.
Yeah.
So it's l'École supérieure du parfum. The English translation for it would be the Superior School of Perfumery.
Okay, nice. So for a Frenchman, you have very good English. Do you did you study here in the States, or?
So my mom is from California, the San Francisco Bay Area, and I still have all that part of the family that lives there, and some that live up north in Washington State. So yeah, since forever, I've always talked in English with my mom, and visited my relatives in the States every summer, and most of the times during Christmas. So yeah.
And so that's how I met you last August.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was visiting my relatives there, and yeah, it was actually very cool to be back, because with COVID, unfortunately, I wasn't able to come visit the year prior.
Nice, nice. So why did you resurrect an older French house and not start something brand new?
So right at the start, in our first year at the Superior School of Perfumery, with Paul and Victorien, we became very close friends, and we wanted to create something together. We fell in love with perfumery together, and we really wanted to create our brand together, be able to create fragrances freely, and really bring our own vision to the world. And we started looking for ways to create our own perfume brand, but we were just way too young and had no clue what we were getting ourselves into. So we thought that it would be better to stick to our studies first and learn from our school, and then start something later. And it was in our 3rd year. So after our 3rd year in school, we thought that we should start now, because we felt more confident, and also because our goal was to be able to launch the brand right after our diploma. So that way the time we were still in school, we would be able to work on this project and gain more time and have everything ready for after our diploma. And so yeah, we've always wanted to create something together, and it was just at a random restaurant. We were having dinner together, and we really enjoyed vintage perfumery and digging into like these like old houses. And one day at the restaurant, we came across Maison Violet, and we read the whole history of Violet and the fact that it was in the French stock market, the fact that it was so big, so international. It really fascinated us because we've never heard of it before. We thought, how we're in a perfume school, we know we learn about French historical perfumeries. We attend different conferences about vintage perfumeries. How could we have never learned about such a big house? And that really got us intrigued and fascinated, especially how it disappeared. We thought it was very weird that it disappeared almost 10 years after the Second World War. Because if it disappeared during or like right after, we could understand, but 10 years after, we thought it was quite odd. And so we started digging for clues. We went to different libraries. We contacted different historians, and from there, the brand just really started growing on us. And we decided that that would be our project, and that we would bring this brand back to life instead of creating our own, because we were already way too in love with the whole history behind.
Nice. That's awesome. So is it easy to start up or resurrect an older brand? I'm sure it's really, really complicated.
It is very complicated. I mean, there are a lot of positive things to it. The fact that it's just so fascinating being able to dig back into the house's history. So it really, it's really inspiring to us. But it is very difficult as well, because we were still very young, and we thought that we were maybe too inexperienced to bring back such a name, and we felt like we didn't have the right to do it, and so we wanted everything to be perfect and not miss anything when we relaunch it, so that yeah, we would respect the name. And so in that sense, it's quite difficult because you have a huge weight on your shoulders. And also because, yeah, there's so much to respect. We didn't really want to mess up anything, and
you wanted to make it perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, it is quite difficult. It's probably a lot easier to start a brand from scratch, but maybe not as inspiring because you don't have the whole history behind. And that's also what inspired us a lot in the creations, is being able to find archives, like different illustrations, articles, and just taking these like pieces of history and bringing them back to life.
Nice. So you touched on this a little bit. How long was the brand around for, and then how long was it shut down for? You said it was around in the 1800s and it shut down in the 50s. So maybe it was shut down for about 70 years.
So it was more than that, because it was in 1827, the official how do you say, the official launch of the brand was in 1827.
Wow, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah. And we did find traces of it being existing prior to that date. And in some vintage fragrances, we saw the date 1820 on it. Wow. And there's like I think we saw it in an article that someone mentioning Violet in like the mid around 1915. So there are traces of it being a lot older, but officially as like an established company, it was 1827, and then it disappeared. So the last date we have is 1955. Maybe it lasted a few more years, but that's like the last official launch they had was in 1955. With the fragrance NUEE BLEUE, for instance. And yeah, we thought it was very mysterious how it disappeared, like I said earlier, and especially after so many years of existence and being such a big company and such a well-known company too.
Wow. Are there a lot of other brands that were around and folded up that deserve to be resurrected, or not that many?
we did actually find a lot of other brands while we were digging for more information about Violet. We saw a lot of like magazines, old magazines, and other like archives that talked about a lot of other brands that had really like nice names and good stories as well. But we didn't really dig too much into them because we were mainly focused on Violet. But obviously we did come across a lot of other brands that disappeared. When we were digging through all of these information, we just realized that even if it was 200 years back, they still work the same way as today. Today we still have a lot of brands that come out and unfortunately disappear a few years after. And it was the same back then. People were creating a lot of fragrance brands, and so there is a lot.
Wow. Interesting. So what made you decide to work with Nathalie Lorson? Did you know her work prior to working with her? And will you continue working with her for future fragrances?
So the way we started working with her was that she actually came to our school to talk about the job of being a perfumer. And our teacher that brought her in knew about our project to bring back to life Violet, and she kind of mentioned it to Natalie, because we were asking a lot of questions to Natalie that were very specific, and so obviously Natalie thought that something might be up, and so we laughed with her. We laughed about it with our teacher, saying that we were working on a project and that we would be happy to talk about it more with her later. And so we kind of briefly talked about the subject, and that was very early in our process of bringing it back to life. And I think it was like almost a year later, we thought it would be when we had everything ready and we wanted to start working on the fragrances. We thought it might be worth the shot to contact her and see if she would be interested in learning a bit more about our project, where we were at, and if she would like to sign our creations. And so we emailed her, and she was very intrigued by what we were preparing. So she said that she would love to talk about it with her. And so we talked to her and Yvan Banis, who was the director, fine fragrance director back then at Firme Niche. And we had a really nice conversation, all of us together. And Natalie, right after the meeting, said, "Okay, well, I'm on," and
nice.
I really like the concept, the idea, and I would love to work with you guys on the creations. And so that's pretty much how it happened. And we were very happy and very fortunate to be able to work with such a great perfumer. And our future, we're still working on creations. We actually received a few samples today from her of new things we're working on. So we're still working with her for the future fragrances from the Heritage range. So Cycle 01 was a bit different. We worked with Patrice Réveillard, who was actually a fellow classmate of ours. He was in our class at l'École Supérieure du Parfum, and then launched his own perfume creation house with Marie Schnierer, who was another of our fellow classmates, and Johan Sergi, a friend.
Such a small world.
And when we were working on Cycle, we thought that it would be a great opportunity to work with Patrice, because with our whole friendship, and we thought it would be just really cool to work on something together. And so that's why we worked with Patrice for Cycle. But the rest of the Heritage range is with Natalie, and the coming ones in the Heritage range will still be with Natalie. Maybe in the future, it might be a new perfumer. We don't know. But for the moment, I think Natalie is happy working with us, and we're very happy working with her. So
that's awesome. Great. Yeah, I really enjoy her creations. I haven't seen her do much niche. She does a lot of designer work, but that's where I like some of her work. So do you create, do you recreate older Maison Violet fragrances, or are these fragrances completely original? And also, do you reuse names of former fragrances, or are they brand new names for your fragrances?
So all the names are, except Cycle, which is a different story, but all
I should show them Cycle, by the way. If you guys don't know Cycle, this is Cycle. We'll talk about it towards the end. And these are the bottles for the Heritage line, did you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Oh, I forgot what it was. What was the question?
Do you recreate
Oh, yeah.
the fragrances, and are they the same names?
So yeah, they're all all the fragrances from the Heritage line are inspired by the Vintage Creations, so it's the same name.
Mm.
For the first three we launched, so which is Pourpre d'automne, Sketch, and Un air d'Apogée, we smelt the vintage fragrances that we found online in flea markets and in auctions, and so we smelled them with Natalie to kind of get like a general feel of what the notes were and how we would want to make them turn out. And so we kept the like olfactive family and just twisted it a bit differently so it would be like applicable today, since the legislations were different back then, obviously, and tastes have evolved as well. So yeah, they're inspirations of the fragrances back then, but a bit more modern and with our own personal preferences and Natalie's personal touch as well. So for the first three, then Tanagra and NUEE BLEUE, the names were already such a great source of inspiration that we wanted to start from there, from the name and from the illustrations we found back then, to create freely from there. And Compliment was kind of like the two others. We were kind of inspired by what was the fragrance back then. So it was like a white floral fragrance with a lot of Ylang-Ylang actually, which is there's a bit less in our fragrance today. But yeah, so still inspired from the past, but also inspired like NUEE BLEUE and Tanagra from the name that really brought us a lot of ideas to our mind to create new things with it.
Oh, cool. So then when you're working on a brand new fragrance, do you go back to the original fragrances and you say, this is the next one we want to work on? Or do you get inspired and you kind of go, okay, I wonder if Maison Violet did something that focused on amber, and then you go back, or vanilla, you go back and find something that they did and then come back to it?
I think there's a bit of everything. Like the first three we launched them because we had the fragrances, and so it was very important for us to start off with really sticking to what the Violet vibe was and what the fragrances felt like. And also because they were three very iconic fragrances, especially Pourpre d'automne, which was Violet's most famous fragrance. So it was very important for us to bring that one back. And then for Tanagra and NUEE BLEUE, it was more because we really enjoyed the names, and we thought from there we started looking for illustrations, and we started looking for different clues of what the fragrances were like and how the bottles look like. Like for example, Tanagra is a word for the means like the was used to symbolize the Greek statues that were created back then in ancient Greece, and they would symbolize women beauty, elegance, and this backstory we thought was just so cool to take inspiration from. And the vintage bottle had like a Tanagra on the cap, so all of this really resonated with us, and we thought it was by itself good inspiration in itself. So we really wanted to stick to those key points. Yeah, I think that the names are very important when they resonate a lot with what we enjoy and how we see vintage perfumery and how we see Violet as well. Like I said, we tried to bring back these iconic fragrances as well, the very important ones. So it's a bunch of things that really help us guide us to choose which fragrance we want to launch next.
Nice. So let me ask you this: is this a logo that was already in existence, or is that a new logo that you guys have created? And is that a bee? Is that a bee or
exactly.
a wasp?
Yeah, it's a bee stamp. So that's exactly the stamp they had created back then. So the story behind the stamp is that Violet was a supplier of the Empress Eugénie, who is also called the Queen Bee. And from there, it was kind of like the marketing thing they had back then. They would communicate on the fact that they were suppliers of the royal courts, and if you're a supplier of Impresso Génie, it really shows that you're a big brand. And so, yeah, they would talk about it. And since Violet grew very big, very quickly, in the 1850s, there were a lot of Violet counterfeits. And
wow, back then too. Jeez.
Yeah. And so Louis Clay, who was the owner of the brand back then, decided to create this B stamp that would be affixed on each of Violet's products to prove that the Violet products with this B stamp are the real ones, and every Violet product without a B stamp must be considered a counterfeit.
Wow.
And so that's the exact stamp. That's the exact stamp that he put on the products, and on it says loi du I think 18 juin 1857, so 18th of June 1857, and that was when this law was created for Violet, and when they started putting this stamp on their products. Nice.
That's awesome. Learning so much from your brand. So how many fragrances do you currently have in your collection?
So I have
4 here, and I have Cycle, which is 5.
Yeah. So we have 6 fragrances in the Heritage range. Then we have Cycle, so the 7th one. And we have NUEE Bleu soap that we launched in February or March, I believe.
Did you say soap?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm assuming Maison Violet had these kind of bathing products in the past too. Is that why you're launching them?
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, Violet was especially well known for their soaps when they originally started.
Okay.
So François Etienne, being a chemist, he invented new ways of creating soaps, and he actually deposited patents for his formulas. And so they were very well known for their soaps, and we thought that it would be a nice wink, as we say it in French. I don't know if that works in English, but like a good tribute to Violet to bring back the product that really made them popular at first, the solid soap, and using NUEE Bleu, so the very last fragrance that they launched, to kind of bring this circle back. So the last product they launched with the first product, making this full circle, which enabled us to move on from there and really bring like the whole foundations back. And we also wanted to bring back a solid soap, so not only for like these vintage reasons, but also for environmental reasons, as they're a lot more sustainable. And so we formulated the soap with without palm oil and with sunflower oil that is from France, very close to our production site for the soaps. So we really worked around sustainability for the soap as well, which is a cause that is very important to our heart and to a lot of our younger generations. And yeah, I think it's something that we really want to include into Violet as well.
Nice. That's awesome. I can't wait to smell it. But so you said that was with the fragrance. Which one of the fragrances is it? So
NUEE Bleu, which means in English, it means blue mist. And so it's a very almost misty, very fresh fragrance with a lot of citrusy notes, floral notes of orange blossom as well, and mainly iris, which brings this blue color. So this blue mist feel. And yeah, with a bit of creaminess as well, with sandalwood, cedarwood, and a lot of musks in there as well that really bring this like cloudy feel. Nice. And we thought it worked really well in a soap format as well. So, and we're very happy with it. We're actually our first customers. Like we only only use our soap because we love it so much.
Oh wow, great! I can't wait to test that out. So let's see. We spoke about what's the name of the fragrance again? Blue or
NUEE Bleu. Yeah.
NUEE Bleu. Okay, and then you have another one that I'm not aware of, or I don't own here. The purple one. Which one was that one?
Pourpre
okay, that one.
Which
and what? Yeah, tell me what that means.
So, which means purple fall. So a very colorful fragrance, and we really worked around these colors that were ingredients that were present in the formula back then, and we worked even more around to bring these like purple fall colors. So with violet, rose, and it has this very cosmetic feel. Like it smells like lipstick. So this association of violet and rose was widely used for perfuming lipsticks back then, and powders as well. And so it has this very cosmetic vibe to it, as well as sheep base notes of Oakmoss and other woody notes. And like I mentioned to you previously, we tried to recreate the mousse de saxe feel, which is a base that was widely used back in the days and completely disappeared today. And we really tried to recreate this mousse de saxe vibe to have this like vintage feel, but also make it a bit more modern.
Nice, great. So, what are your most popular fragrances?
So the funny thing is that it kind of depends on the years, but this year, strangely enough, they're all very even, except Un Air d'Apogée. Un Air d'Apogée is our all-time bestseller. It's the one
that's my favorite.
And since
see how much I've used.
Yeah, since the first year, it's really the one that stuck out the most. And we kind of knew it when we launched it. We knew it would be the one that would grab the most attention, because this is what we believe. We feel like it's probably the most unique in its genre, and it's also very addictive. So we thought that people who would wear Apogée would really stick to Apogée and really enjoy it and keep wearing it. And yeah, it proved us that we were right thinking about of that, because that's pretty much what happened. People really fell in love with it, and we know that a lot of people keep wearing it and truly enjoy it. So very happy with that. And Compliment, since we launched it just recently, we don't know yet how it will perform compared to the others. But yeah, Apogée currently is our number one.
All right, great. Yeah, that was a really great fragrance. I just can't get enough of it. But I love tobacco and fragrances with the sweet. I'm noticing that there is a powdery DNA all around your fragrances. Is this something that you guys decided to create, or is it accidental?
I think that in Natalie's personal style, there is this musky powderiness that comes out quite often. And I think that, well, it's not, I think, I know that personally I love iris, and I tend to want to put iris everywhere. So sometimes I call Natalie and tell her to add a bit more iris in like this fragrance, and bring more powderiness to that fragrance. And Paul and Victoria hate me for that. They keep telling me no more iris, because yeah, I really tend to want to put it more and more into it. So yeah, I think it's the association of both the way Natalie's style work, and the way that I work, and the notes that I enjoy, and the things that I like to see. So both of those together create, yeah, these very powdery fragrances, and also a lot of randomness as well. Because, for example, Cycle 001 is very musky and powdery, and with a lot of iris in there as well. But I had nothing to do with the iris added in there, and that was entirely Patrice. So so there's a lot of randomness as well.
Nice. So my favorite fragrance from your brand is Un Air d'Apogée. What does that translate to, by the way?
So Un Air d'Apogée would be, so Apogée means like the climax, the highest point. And Un Air is like a feel of the climax. And the reason why Apogée was important for us to launch as well is because it was launched in the 1930s. And at that point, Violet was almost at its climax. It was probably at its highest point, where they were known internationally everywhere, and they just grew very big. And right before, unfortunately, going back down with the Second World War and everything that happened to the company before disappearing.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. My number 2 favorite is Tanagra. Did we speak about this one already? I think we spoke off camera. This is this has a kind of like a diorome kind of a start, and it's all about iris. Tell me a little bit about Tanagra.
So the way we worked with Tanagra is, so like I said, we were very inspired by the name. Like I mentioned, our Greek statuettes of that symbolize women, beauty, elegance, and finesse. And we really worked around that to bring something very delicate, as well as work a lot around texture. So like a cashmere silky feel. And so that's why there's also Cashmeran in there that really gives a lot of texture to fragrances. It's between woody and musky and very addictive. Yeah. And for this like silky and almost like see-through veil type, we worked a lot around different like petals, flower petals. So around rose, freesia, peony, a lot of iris obviously as well. And the iris that's more in there to bring this like powderiness, this like silky color, and yeah, that's how we worked around all of this. But we didn't want it to be too feminine as well. So there's a lot of cedar wood in there as well, and sandalwood that kind of holds everything together and brings like a woody texture, and that blends really well with the iris as well as the cashmeran that makes the musks blend with the woody notes and with everything else.
Awesome. Nice. So that's my second favorite. But before that, my second favorite was Sketch. Sketch is patchouli and amber, right?
Exactly, yeah. So Sketch was originally launched under the name of Ambre Royale, so Royal Amber, and then it was rebranded Sketch in the 1920s. And this is our theory. We don't have anything to back it up, but we believe that they rebranded it Sketch at that time because that's when Violet got pretty popular in the United States, for instance. And so it was maybe an easier name to pronounce because at that time they started making more and more English names as well. They had a fragrance that was called Kiss Me Quick. So yeah, very, very English names. And it just makes sense to us that that's what they were trying to do. And we really enjoyed the name Sketch because first of all, we thought that Ambre Royale there's too many ambre something in the niche.
So many. You're right.
And so we didn't think it was very original and not very inspiring as well, compared to all the other Violet names that are a lot more lyrical. And so we really enjoyed Sketch, and also because it was one of Violet's first very popular fragrances, because the fragrance industry in the late 1800s was very different. Well, I mean, early 1800s was very different than from the late 1800s. That's when the modern perfumery kind of came to life with the chemical raw materials. And so that was like the first main fragrance, and why it was very important for us to bring it back as well. And it was one of the first ones we started working on. And that's exactly what we were doing back then. We were re-outlining the house, redrawing the sketch of what Violet was. And so we thought that name really resonated with what we were doing. And that's why we decided to stick with Sketch.
Good name.
And so, yeah, I didn't mention that it was, but like Ambre Royale suggests, it was an ambery fragrance. And so we really kept this like ambery vibe, but made it a bit more modern with patchouli, which kind of is contradictory because it kind of reminds of the 70s, but also the Neo Chypre used patchouli instead of Oakmoss. So it has also a more modern vibe to it as well. And we made it a bit more unique by adding tuberose in there, as well as nutmeg, which is a spice that is widely known and used in the kitchen, but rarely seen in perfumery. And we thought it would bring a unique twist to the fragrance, and yeah, worked around those notes.
Yeah, nice. And then finally, Compliment, which is your latest release.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Compliment, and where did the name come from for this one?
So the name comes from the vintage fragrance as well. And the whole idea behind this fragrance, so the original smell was around white floral notes, especially Ylang-Ylang, like I said previously, but also with like a bit of animalic undertone in the base notes. And we really wanted to work around these white florals that really go well with the name, we thought. And the way we saw the name was kind of like an ego trip where you're kind of thinking about yourself first and something that you wear for yourself. And in French, there's this expression that is se jeter des fleurs, which means to throw yourselves flowers. And it means to kind of be over your head, to congratulate yourself and to think about yourself. And this is really what we wanted to do with this fragrance. And also why we added this like narcissus, these narcissus notes in there with like the whole narcissus flower story. And yeah, so that's the goal of the fragrance. We really wanted to make a big like head turner, something that you can smell from far away, and that you buy obviously to please others, but also to please yourself, which is what's really important in perfumery, and that people kind of tend to forget. They mostly buy fragrances because it pleases their husband or wife or whatever, and they kind of forget about what they enjoy. And so that was the whole concept behind this fragrance.
Yeah, for me, I get lots of jasmine up top, and then finally the jasmine fades, becomes tuberose, lots of tuberose, and once again, it's powdery as well.
Yeah, and actually, so this was not at all on me, but there's actually iris in there as well. So you can't really smell it. It's more to bring like of a natural feel into like the flowers and bring a bit of complexity, but it's not something that you can actually smell. But there is iris in there, natural iris, which I thought was quite funny. Because the guys keep asking me not to put iris, and this was not my idea, but there's iris in there.
So let's talk a little bit about Cycle 001. It's a limited edition. How come you decided to do a limited edition? And it's a refillable bottle.
Yeah. So like I said, we really tried to work more and more around sustainability, which is very important to us personally. And we really want to bring that more and more into the brand. So the idea behind Cycle was mainly to work around that aspect, so sustainability, but also we wanted to bring something new in perfumery. And in our first office we had in Paris, we were right on top of like a shoe store that sold like collector shoes, and we would often see like a huge line outside, and we had to like go through the line to go into our offices. And and we personally love like the whole like sneaker industry and a lot of like the creative things they do, and we thought it would be quite cool to launch something similar in the perfume industry, something that would be like limited, like a limited edition. But the problem with limited editions is that a lot of people who wear a fragrance want to be able to keep wearing it. And so that's how the idea kind of originated, is we wanted to create something in limited edition, but only the people who did purchase this limited edition can keep wearing it for as long as they want. And so that's kind of these two worlds collided together and created Cycle. And yeah, like I said, we really wanted to see something, to try to bring something new to perfumery, something that people never saw before, and also work on a project that would be fun for us and something that's very stimulating. And we really enjoyed this whole concept. And yeah, like I said too, when we talked about it to Patrice, he loved the idea and said that he had a fragrance in mind to show us that would work perfectly. And that's when he presented to us so the sample Angelical Musk that became Cycle 001.
Nice. Yeah, it's a powdery kind of minimalistic fragrance, musky for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So the way Patrice worked around this was he tried to work around Angelica root and stretch out all the different dimensions you can naturally find in Angelica root. So it's naturally very musky, so he extended all these like musk, also very rooty, so he added a lot of iris to bring like these rooty notes, and very spicy and peppery as well. So he extended the whole spectrum of the this Angelica root, and that's why it was called originally on his small sample Musc Angélique, so Angelical Musk. And yeah, so that's how he worked around this fragrance.
There's a little vegetal undertone in there as well.
Yeah,
you get
definitely.
that with this one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So what's next? Oh, go ahead.
I think there's also also brings this like iris tone. I think there's also, if I remember correctly, there's a carrot grain in there that really brings spiciness as well as a vegetal note as well.
Okay, yeah, it's a nice one. So where are your fragrances sold? In the States and then worldwide?
Yeah, so today we have currently, I believe, 45 sale points, mainly in France and in Europe. But we do have a few international sale points outside of Europe, for instance, in the US, like you mentioned, in Canada, in Russia, and in a few other countries, in Japan as well. And yeah, so those are all the countries we work with, and we have signed other contracts with the other countries that are opening stores in different areas. So Violet is growing quite quickly, and we're very happy to share our creations with every part of the world. So very happy with that.
Cool. But people can go to your own website and order directly from your website, and you ship worldwide?
Of course. We do ship worldwide, and most of our retail partners do as well. And if not worldwide, they at least ship in the country. So yeah, all solutions work.
Okay. So last question for you: what can we look forward from your brand? What can we look forward to?
So
tell us.
Like I said, we're currently working on a new fragrance for the Heritage range that should come out in 2022. And we're very excited about this one as well. I mean, we're always excited to share them. And it's always, it's what we love about our work, is working on new creations and being able to share them with the community that grew around Violet afterwards.
Can you give us a clue? What it's going to be like?
Okay, so it's more on the woody side. So we have a lot of florals in our range. Even if Tanagra is a bit woody as well with cedar wood, and even if Sketch is not at all floral, it's very ambery. But we do have a lot of florals, and we feel like we didn't have enough of woody fragrances, so we wanted to go more into that spectrum. And yeah, so that's what we're working on. And very happy. We have actually, so the fragrance we're working on now that we will launch in 2022, we've started working on it since the very first day when we started to work with Natalie.
Oh, wow.
We've been working on it at the same time as Pourpre d'automne, Sketch, and Un air d'Apogée. And yeah, so that's also one of the reasons why we're so excited to bring it to life in 2022, because it's been a pretty big project, and can't wait to share it. And so that's for the Heritage line. We've also tried to think about new ideas about cycle, and we have a lot of ideas in mind, but nothing too defined and precise yet to talk about it. But we would be very excited to launch a cycle O2 in the future as well. And a lot of people asked us about our soaps. They wanted to know if you would make other soaps with the other fragrances. And a lot asked us to do Pourpre d'automne soaps or Sketch soaps, and that's something we want to work around as well.
Oh, nice.
It's probably not going to come anytime in the near future, but it is in the back of our heads, and it is something we want to bring out, especially because a lot of people are asking for them as well. And so yeah, we're always looking to hear people's feedback and try to create what they're looking to find in our brand as well.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you. Do you have anything else you want to share with everyone before we wrap up?
I think that's pretty much it. I would love to talk more about the new fragrance that's right next to me, but yeah, a bit too soon.
Yeah,
hopefully
no worries.
in a future video.
So is it launching in the early part of 2022 or mid part?
So that's another clue. It's more of it's more of a pretty like dense, smoky, woody fragrance. So we don't see it coming too early during the year because it's more of like a colder
weather
season fragrance. Yeah, so we're thinking about more the second half of 2022.
Okay, makes total sense. You're right. All right, thank you so much for doing this. Let's go ahead and discuss the giveaway. We have 3 sample sets to give away to subscribers of this channel from EU and or USA. All you have to do is write a comment down and let us know what you liked about this video. And then also let us know which fragrance that we discussed sounds the best to you. And please put down your country. And if you're in the USA, please put down your state to qualify, and make sure you're subscribed. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video with Anthony of Maison Violet. Anthony, thank you so much for doing this video with me.
Well,
learned a lot.
For having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, guys, thanks again. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.